Financial disclaimer. The information provided in this stream is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional financial or investment advice. We are not licensed financial advisors, and the content presented here is based on our personal opinions and experiences. Investing in stocks and other financial instruments involves risk, including the potential loss of capital. Any investment decisions you make are solely your own responsibility, and you should conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any investment choices. The content we share on this stream may not be accurate, complete, or up to date. Market conditions and financial regulations can change rapidly, and we cannot guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information presented. We do not endorse or promote any specific stocks, companies, or investment strategies. Any actions you take based on the content of this stream are at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses or damages that may occur as a result. Always remember that past performance is not indicative of future results, and no investment is guaranteed to be profitable. Make informed decisions and consider your risk tolerance before investing any funds. By accessing and using this stream, you acknowledge and agree that we are not responsible for any investment decisions you make as a result of the content presented. You are encouraged to seek advice from qualified financial professionals for personalized guidance. Please invest responsibly, and only with money you can afford to lose.
Hey man, just found the next guaranteed multi-bagger.
Hey man, you found another one? What is it this time?
Come check this out.
Okay, next please. How can I help you, young man?
We want to go all in on CHSN. We love sweets, a good snack, and some big cakes.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that check and it's gone.
Hey everybody, Johnny, welcome to the Laughing Stock. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, thank you. Been a good week, I think, but I need some of that snacks, I think, from China there.
Yeah, see, so what I did here is I took this chart and I just kind of flipped it upside down.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
So it looks pretty good here.
I will say that's a short squeeze.
Yeah. This is basically car. This is the next car.
Yeah, this is the next car. So CHSN, you saw it here first.
Yeah, and market cap's only 7 million, so this is cheap.
It's a lot of room. It's a lot of room to go.
But yeah, this is why, you know, when any stock has these giant down moves like that, it's a good one to stay away from.
Well, both yes and no. You can also flip it like you just did, and
True.
then you should be in it. It depends on which way you read the chart, I think.
Now I'm curious if I go back a little bit longer.
Don't do that. I did it. It's not going to get better.
I just like to see, technically, someone paid about $1,200 for this stock at one point.
They must have some good cakes.
Yeah, seriously. That's some good sweets. Yeah, speaking of interesting charts, let's go to car.
Oh, yeah. Car completely broken down. I saw a lot of traders, they jumped on it as a parabolic short.
Yeah.
And it was really hard to time this one. I think a lot of the pros, they tried several days before it finally happened, but I'm sure they are not crying about that now if they manage to participate in this on the day. But yeah, I think it fell 70% or something.
Yeah, I think I saw Ariel said this was his biggest trade of the year so far. Which, I mean,
contributed to his best month ever, I think he said.
Yeah, so, I mean, this one was like one of those ones that just like so obvious. It's just trying to time it. This was tough because it did have big, like a lot of days it would open up down and kind of bounce around and then move up. So it's just trying to catch this last day as it really finally broke. But
yeah, it looked like it was going to turn around multiple days before it actually did. So here you have to do like what you're doing now. Open up the time frame and just watch it for the entire day, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how else you would kind of figure this one out. I mean, the one thing that looks really good to me is the multiple candles in a row. Like, you know, you can see volume wise that, you know, almost every time there's only 2 like down moves each time that it would move down. But then once you got a third one here, especially after peaking at 847, and then, you know, you got 3 candles in a row that are down and it starts to break down below the, this is a 20 EMA on an hour timeline, not to confuse anybody. Yeah. But once it broke down, you know, somewhere in here, this should have been your calling if you had not shorted it yet.
Yeah.
But.
And then I see a lot of people are talking about they wanted to try it for a parabolic long again after like a bounce. But also that didn't happen because they looked at it on Thursday for a you know, a bounce back, and that has not happened. So it's just like apparent that the car is moving a little bit different than what people are used to that knows a lot about this. But so that Mario's guy, this is his speciality, that set up parabolic short, and he pretty much nailed it on the day. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like long term, I mean, I would argue we're kind of getting back to range. So I wouldn't imagine a huge spike off something like this.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. This was trading really low at one point.
I think you know, this is what I don't know if that would be possible in car, but this is what Musk has been very good to. Like when the stock price starts to run, he makes like he goes in and collect money and raise money.
Yeah.
So I don't know if car did that, but all I've read is that they are trying to improve the fundamentals, and obviously something must have set it up in the first place. But
wasn't it a short squeeze?
Huh?
Wasn't it a short squeeze?
Yeah, it was a short squeeze, but that is also like based on something, right? Just a
there was two bigger funds that had basically owned the entire share count, and the short outstanding shares was like super high still, but yet they owned all the shares essentially, so they were able to just keep selling, like trickling shares out to let this just keep rising and rising.
Okay.
And somewhere in here is where they must have been mostly out of their position, and they couldn't control it because retail started to really, you know, try and push these down.
Yeah.
But I mean, pretty wild. You know, this is really just a like understanding of the markets. This isn't really anything to do with fundamentals or anything. This is just knowing the markets well enough to see how something's going to break and how to take advantage of something like that.
Yeah. A comparison at all, but if you go to PBI, that chart surprised me a little bit. I think it was last week, but this is probably due to fundamentals then, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but good looking chart. I think imagine Justin right now. He's in Alto still, and this one he's getting all the 4 years. Back probably.
Yeah, that's why as an investor, you just have to extend your time horizon.
Yeah.
You know.
And he has been. He. I saw he was going to submit a new Alto article. I don't know if it's out yet, but like I've said before, I'm not updated here anymore. But I guess the thesis that we had then is finally starting to play out. Not that it didn't reach these levels when we were involved, and then it still dropped on some terrible, disappointing earnings and stuff, you know. But maybe it's gonna happen now for them.
Yeah, you know, these are just the cyclical events of a company like this, and you know, one thing is, and this is why, you know, as a deep value investor, these things are cyclical if they're not going to go bankrupt. You know, I mean, you know, it sells off because just, you know, it just loses interest. and then you get any kind of narrative or any kind of earnings that like kind of go their way, and you know people can just pile in, and you'll watch these things go from $1 to $5. You know, in a pretty, this is what 5 months, so half a year. You're 5-bagger if you were buying anywhere in here. But yeah, I mean, if you're an investor, you just have to increase your time horizon. And, you know, I mean, we were talking about Intel earlier. I mean, Intel was trading at, you know, around 20, and now it's at 80. This is a huge company, and it's a 4-bagger from its lows.
And a 4 ADR stock, I think around 4, and look at the move they had on the earnings.
Right.
Which kind of dragged the entire semi space up. If you look at ARM, I'm involved in ARM.
Yeah, ARM.
ARM had no news on Friday, but it went up 14% on Intel's.
What AMD do? Yeah, AMD is the same thing. All of them are just taking off. You know, and Intel, you would argue, is the leader here. So.
Yeah. But it just feels a bit scary right now in those stocks. But I know ARM has earnings this coming week, so I have trimmed already. I think I will take another half of the position and just leave the rest through the earnings.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue trimming here is not a bad call. But at the same time too, I keep saying this because I don't think people are really focused on it, but all these computers, everyone's so focused on the GPU side because of AI, but they all need CPUs to run. So you can't have one without the other, essentially. So there's just a huge market still here, and I just think people have kind of backed off that.
Yeah,
but
I saw what's the ETF in CMEs? SMH. If you look at SMH,
yeah, same thing.
It's the ETF. It's like if you zoom out, that one looks pretty good, strong. But a very, very, if you go to the weekly and you check the last 4 weeks, I think it looks a bit, that is, you know, a sideways move is due.
Yeah, you say that though, but I mean, even if you look here, I mean, this went from, you know, low, you know, 170-ish to 270, and I know the rest of the market did this too, but it just kept going up from there. And same thing, we have a dip from, you know, a trend in the markets, you know, something totally outside of semiconductors, and then boom, people are looking for something to invest in, and semis are the recipient of it.
Yeah, and they are leading still in this market. You see, so far, I can argue like, you know, crypto miners, crypto, semis, computers, hardware and stuff like that. Yeah, those looks really strong. And if you pull up some of the, like, you know, Cypher, Hot.
Cypher, yeah. Cypher
Wolf with a U. They look good, right? They maybe are a bit late. You should have bought them a little bit like 2 weeks ago on breakout. But they all look the same, like Wolf with a U, Hot.
Yeah, all of them are on my list.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to current here and you just go by industry, I mean, you know, I got SNDK just keeps pushing higher. UCTT, all of these. AXTI is another one.
Yeah.
MVTS, super strong. You know, and like you're talking riots up.
Yeah.
What else?
This is the still the leading group, and we saw the quantum names started to move a few weeks ago, Dave.
Yeah,
they had a little bit of a pullback. You know how they move, so they move in percentage. They move big. Like they had a pretty hard pullback this week, but they did touch some of the simple moving averages. You know, so it's going to be interesting to see this coming week if they will turn around. and they also have earnings soon, all of them. You know, if Quantum can come and participate a bit as well, you have a lot of like good stocks for swing trading, I think, if you get the setups.
Yeah, I think Quantum's still just early. You know, that's like the only thing with Quantum is it's still just as a technology, it's so early. But I mean, you know it's coming. You know, it's just, you know, there'll be a point where they start to make some breakthroughs, you know, and as soon as that happens, that market will just take off. That will be such a huge change in the way we do things.
Yeah.
You know, I think people, you know, kind of like how AI has been. I think Quantum's going to be a huge game changer in terms of what we're able to do. So,
Yeah.
and if you look, I mean, everything's either there's like 4 markets right now you want to be in, and it's all computer software, you know, high end tech, anything that gets those to go. So, you know, metals, materials, energy, those are all things that are allowing those to work. And then the, you know, the software side of it, you know, but if you're in any of those markets right now, that is the future of growth. That's where everything's pushing. So that's just where the money is. So, I mean, you semis, robotics, you know, US tech, these are all the things that you're seeing. Oil did spike back up a little bit.
A bit, yeah. The oil is still, I think, where the chart, at least the one I'm looking at, is for the last 2 days, Thursday and Friday, it couldn't break through the 20-day simple moving average. So if it comes down from here, that still looks very weak, this chart and in total, but it was on the way to break up above the simple moving average as well. So it's just like small details can change the chart completely, but right now it looks a bit weak to me. What do you think, Dane?
I mean, volume is down. I'm looking at the U.S. oil fund, and I like to look at that one because it's actually, I mean, this what you would argue is actually bullish for the U.S. oil fund. You know, the blocking of the strait and everything.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, if you look at, you know, Brent, it just, I don't know. It's tough to say. I like this one to me is so narrative based. You know, you can't. I don't want to like look at a chart and say, you know, I think it's going to go one way because of what the chart kind of looks like. If you ask me, what does this say? It means we're in no man's land and trying to figure it out. If anything, I would argue it spiked back up a little bit because it sounds like there's not going to be a resolution anytime soon. Now who knows?
And you do see still some oil companies setting
WTI,
up.
I know I saw a bounce pretty strong.
If you look at PUMP as well, PUMP,
yeah, and Palm.
it did have a clear breakout.
Yeah,
So,
true.
there are companies you can still do with oil, even if maybe you interpret the overall chart to be a bit weak. Like you say, it's narrative based for sure, and also like right now connected 100% to the market. Like it's kind of the opposite. You know, if oil goes up, the market goes down, and so on right now. But there are multiple nuances in the picture still.
Yeah, that's why I like to. But yeah, I at this point just keep following the indexes because you know with such a strong Friday, especially after you know it looked like Thursday was a healthy kind of like pullback in a way, especially after such a strong move. But then Friday just erases it like nothing.
I have to say though, there are a lot of smaller stocks that are down pretty like by a lot on Friday.
Yeah, I didn't see the strength like I would think there was.
Yeah, no, exactly. And but I think you know the giga caps, Nvidia was up 4%, more than 4%. Amazon 3.5%. There was a TSM was up 5%. You know, there was a lot of these big companies that were moving quite a bit. So I found it a bit weird, and also you got these crazy moves in the semiconductor. So I was thinking maybe I have no idea, but I will not be surprised.
Yeah. Values in the chat, by the way. He's asking how our weeks went.
Oh, hey, value.
Yeah, I just pulled up the market strength here just to kind of show how I've been feeling like, some of the overall numbers in terms of like stuff that's pressing higher right now did definitely slow down. But we still have a decent amount of stocks at their 52-week high. Breakouts definitely slowed down as the week went on, but there was some strong days still. The one thing that I've been following that really has shown its strength is this 1 month high. This is stuff that's at its highs on the month, and there's just a lot of like strong stocks right now. That's why like when I said I have like over 100 on my current list. Normally I would, I'm thinking that sounds like stupidly high, but there is all these stocks that are at all-time highs.
Yeah.
So, and overall we're still in a pretty strong period here. I mean, ever since we came out of that, downtime period, we've had some down days, but pretty quick to recover. And don't get me wrong, these areas where stuff stays up like they don't last long usually. I mean, you can see here earlier in the year, that's about a month worth. So, but stuff can keep trickling up. It's not to say it won't. So,
yeah.
But to answer Value's question, I had kind of a dumb week because I made 2 good trades, which I was up over 2%, and then I made 1 really dumb trade, which pretty much stole most of that. Another one that just hit my stop, so it was a small loss, but ended up the week slightly down because I'm an idiot. So it could have been a good week. I should be up right now. It's more just I didn't follow what I should have, my normal order of operations. I didn't follow it perfectly, and it led to me getting gapped down on. So it took a hit, which I can't do anything about it. It just is what it is. But other than that, I mean, I had made good trades. There was a lot of stuff breaking out. Like I said, my style has become somewhat specific, which I could probably let some stuff ride a little bit, but it's been working for me. So I'm going to keep working on this for a while.
Stick with it.
Yeah.
Been working great.
I'm still up 12.5 for the year. So I don't even know what the S&P is up right now. It's probably up somewhat.
6, I think. Something
6%,
like that.
Yeah. So I'm double the S&P right now, which doesn't say much to be honest, but it's whatever.
Yeah. It was a very good week for me. I'm in, since 8th of April, 9th of April, I'm in a lot of the positions still. So I'm still in SNDK. I'm in NBIS, which had a disappointing Friday, very disappointing Friday. I'm still in it. Maybe in hindsight, let's see what happens, but maybe I should have sold on Thursday when it did close below the 10-day moving average. But let's see. I mean, either way, it's going to be a big gain for me. I'm in MicroStrategy still. MicroStrategy moved also good this week, so very happy with it. ARM, I'm in ARM. ARM is now my biggest position. I think I'm up 60% almost on it. So that's very good.
Yeah, that's really
and then I took ONDS on Friday together with GLW. GLW is going to have earnings on Tuesday, I think. So that's going to be an exit for me very soon. But ONDS, I was tracking this one and I missed like the breakout it had on 20th of April. So I tried like a pullback buy on Friday, which worked that day, but let's see moving forward because it did pull back a little bit. So if that continues, I'm going to get stopped. But let's see. And then I did get stopped on IONQ, one of the quantum connected, tickers. That had a hard pullback. I still think there will be opportunities to get back into that one, but that ended like a break-even trade for me.
Yeah, this was a really crazy amount of volume coming in here. This is probably a pretty normal pullback based on that amount of volume coming in.
Yeah, and I've been tracking them for sometimes, you know, these are tickers that are probably on everyone's list every now and then. But to me, IONQ and which one was it? I never remember. I think it was QUBT. They look to be the strongest candidates.
Yeah, there's that. QBTS is another one that usually falls in there. Quan,
Yeah.
is it? Or
You have Rigetti, RGTI.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I did put them on the watch list for.
Yeah, they're all following pretty similar patterns there.
Yeah, very. But yeah, let's see how they're going to end up. And Oklo is another one that I want to get into. It's hard to take it, but it looks very strong right now. And even if it did pull back 7% on Friday, check out the volume coming into it.
What was the ticker on the last one?
Oklo.
Oh, Aqua.
So if that can, you know, break through the 200-day moving average, I think you can try to find a spot to take it there.
Yeah, once again, it's kind of a surprising pullback where everything else was moving up so much that these would pull back so hard.
Yeah, but you had some groups that did that, like aerospace and defense, you know, Settle, Space, Redwire, Fly, Lunar, PL.
Yeah.
They all disappointed a bit like this week, I think, because they look to be breaking down, all of them, which is a bit disappointing when you saw which direction the market was heading in. SATS was another one.
Yeah.
It's
No,
completely
they're all on
broken
my
down.
list, and I mean, they it's not like they weren't strong leading up to this. So.
Oh no, they've been very strong, and since the beginning of the year, they've been really strong, that entire group.
Yeah.
But I'm not kicking any of them out, but it's just like I expected a little bit different from them this last week, I think.
Yeah,
Saying
it's
that,
hard to say.
if you look at SATS, is it creating like a really good cup and handle pattern here?
You said SATS?
Yeah, SATS, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it depends what it does off that 50. I would argue if it's able to respond right off that 50 again, which, you know, me looking, I do keep my Bollinger Band on just because I do find stuff correlates pretty well with Bollinger Band at times. And if you look at all of its bottoms are right around Bollinger Band, which I know is normal because it's already a standard deviation on purpose, but it does give you an idea of like how much it slips through a moving average before the rest of the market starts to buy that lower side of things before they consider it, you know, cheap.
I was in SATS from 9 of April. It was a small position then. I was really happy with it, 10 of April. And then, you know, it wanted to break out on 15 of April and it came down again. So I just like expected when I was in it, I was a bit disappointed, like, why are you not going higher? And then comes the U-turn completely. So to me, I think I'm a bit hesitant. I'm a bit disappointed overall in this one, but also to your point now, it hit the 50-day. And if you put the anchored VWAP from 29th of January, like that big red candle, it also touches the anchored VWAP from that day. So it's you know, that can also be meaningful that this was a pullback area and you will see it go up again. But let's see.
I would think in general, just this volume on this day, and the fact that the market, like this was a lot moving, and usually if nothing happens on, you know, this day, that means a huge chunk of that liquidity is gone now. Someone bought and is holding this, which makes me think that there.
Yes.
If this does break out, it could go pretty high because this is, I mean, a lot of shares being held up.
That is the highest up volume ever for the stock.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I mean, usually it has a huge reaction to a buy like that. You know, anytime you've seen this kind of volume, there's a really strong follow through. This was the first time you saw a massive volume like that occur where it didn't do anything that day. It was a pretty uneventful candle.
It just held up.
It looks like it dropped and then someone dumped it, like an incredible amount to get that, or you know, someone dumped and someone bought an incredible amount there to push that right back up.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, but let's see. I think it's at the interesting point here. If it does continue to go down, I'm probably not so interested until it can show something again. But I think also this can be a very good area to get into it if it does turn, and then it's going to be a very good cup and handle pattern.
Yeah. Just for you guys who don't quite know what Johnny's saying, just because I like to always show people. This is all he means by that cup and handle, is that, you know, this is the cup and here's the handle. So typically with one of these things, you kind of see that same shape where, you know, you get this and then it pulls back a little bit. And then usually if it's a decent handle, the next one will go up like that. So, and what this is, you know, there's a lot of euphoria and people buying here. Then you get a lot of sell off and you get this sideways base move. Then you get a little bit of a pump, which shows you that volume's returning. People are starting to buy, which usually creates one more final sell off before it takes off.
I thought that pattern was occurring when I entered it on, what did I say, on 9 of April, you know?
You were probably in here. Yeah, this is so he was thinking that this is the handle, but it might just be a bigger cup.
Yeah.
And none of these are perfect. It's not like, you know, yes, there is some really perfect like patterns, but they're very rare. You're not usually looking for quite a perfect pattern. You're just looking for one that's right in that realm. So,
I have to say, if I wasn't in it 9 of April, I would probably have it on the list and maybe not on a Friday right now, I don't know, but maybe I would be very interested to go back into it on Friday when it did touch the 50-day together with the anchored VWAP there. So that would be if it turns and goes up, that's a perfect buy.
Yeah, so there's a lot moving. Like I'm always excited every day when the markets are about to open. I feel like there's a good chance something swings my way. So you just never know. I had done AXTI. That was my better play, and ironically, I just timed it well on. I think it must have been Wednesday was the day. Yeah, it was Wednesday. And I timed my trade perfect. I got like in at 82, I think, and sold at like 88 or 89.
Yeah.
And that was in the course of not long.
Go to the weekly chart for that ticker then.
Yeah.
8,000%.
Very super strong. I mean, if you had bought some here down here at $1, that's insane. What is that? Yeah. Jeez.
And if you use the moving averages there, what is your red one? That's the 10-day, I guess, on a weekly?
Yeah, it's 10 there.
It never closes below it, right?
Yeah, for weekly.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, that's why it's such a popular one to use, especially if it's not closing on the 10 weekly. That's impressive, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know how many people that would use that as a, you know, thing, but it's interesting to see in hindsight that these things actually it did follow that rule or the guidance, you can say, you know.
Right.
Stocks do follow that.
I mean, this is like that perfect rainbow pattern you want, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the one on Friday that I totally missed was Adam, and it was only because it started off a little bit later in the day when it actually took off. You know, usually I'm pretty quick to get into something, so this just hadn't reached my radar, and it did pop up and pull back. So honestly, I probably would have been out of it somewhere in here anyways. But this is Johnny and I were talking about, you know, how many trades I've been doing in the day, and I've been sticking to just, you know, a few or one usually in the morning. But this is a perfect, you're talking VWAP. It does reclaim it here once and then breaks down below. But then by the time it starts to reclaim it the second time, and you watch those moving averages start to, you know, approach it and or break through it, I mean, this thing doesn't stop. You could have got in at $7 easily with everything looking perfect, you know, and then it takes off another 25% from there.
And if you do it that way, and you use like you know, you can use the lower day. Usually I prefer to use the lower day as a stop, but you can also use like the low of the candle next to your entry point or something, like just find like a, you know, a ground to put it. You can really get in with some tight stop losses in these types of moves.
Yeah, I would argue, because I was just showing it, the 20-day finally breaks above VWAP somewhere in here. So even if you had bought on, you know, one of these candles when it actually finally breaks above, if you had just waited until it closed below the 10, that would have, even if you bought it at the very next candle here, that's still a 22% increase in what, in 2 hours?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a crazy move.
Pull up WATT there, because they had a gap up on 15th of April. And I looked at it then. I didn't have the funds to do anything on that day, but I was like tracking it just to see. And it did pull back, and you could have taken it many times on that day. And look what it did on Friday again. It came back towards the, if you watch the daily, it almost touched the 10-day moving average and then bounced back up 20%. And I can't find any news on Friday. It's just like probably maybe it did have news or something, but what looks really strong.
Yeah, I always have the 65 EMA on here because that's what Q uses. And, you know, this one, same thing. It starts to approach that line and then just flies off of it. And then if you look at the actual intraday chart, I mean, it's kind of spotty volume-wise at the start. But then you just see some pretty large buys just keep coming in. And then at the end of the day, it just takes off. I mean, it approaches that VWAP. And, you know, I'm assuming that a lot of people saw this here, where every time it got down to here, I mean, people are just buying it right off VWAP. They're not even letting it get near it. So it just goes to show you someone was buying, and then you just watched volume pour in.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, at the end of the day, if you had bought, you know, after watching this survive VWAP and waited till the index or the moving averages broke above, you know, some of the small or stronger ones, I mean, you could have ended. That's a 10% gain right there at the end of the day too.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are like a lot of moves.
Yeah, no, markets are hot. I mean, I would argue even though we've had some sideways days in the Nasdaq or whatever your measurement is, you know, S&P, SPY if you want to use it, but it's still kind of trending up. Still getting those higher highs.
And what do you think of the Bitcoin chart right now, Dane? We briefly talked about crypto, but I think it looks good.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of just trending sideways. I think people are kind of hesitant right now to go into Bitcoin.
Yeah, maybe.
You know, I just
but
think
maybe also that's a good opportunity then.
Yeah, I mean, you could have argued that at 60,000 too.
Yeah.
But I just think in this big of a downtrend, it's totally fallen out of favor. You know, it's one of those things that, you know, I don't think Bitcoin's going anywhere in terms, and when I say I'm like going away, it's, you know, I expect it to come back. Just when it occurs, I don't know. I mean, these moving averages are still just catching up. I mean, the 20 is not even above the 50 yet. So it's still kind of early in the move, whatever this is going to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I honestly, to me, it's still kind of out of favor enough that like I wouldn't be looking to trade it anywhere in here. But that's just, you know, my style. So
yeah.
I guess it just depends on. But I mean, I will say, it has, you know, it's in terms of an ATR, it's low. I mean, this is really low for it.
Yeah, I think we, you know, we have been talking a little bit about how it was leading and all that. Now it's definitely not leading anymore, at least.
Yeah, I mean, you know, talking about ATR, every time it spikes off the low, it's not a good thing. At least lately.
Yeah.
You know, so if this does pull up and then drop back down again, then I don't know.
Yeah, that would be ugly, but no, let's see. I'm pretty happy with you know, my micro strategy buy.
Yeah, don't get me
So
wrong.
if
I see what you're saying. I'm not saying that this isn't. It's moving sideways right now, so it could set up for a breakout. I mean,
yeah, but if I get stopped, it's okay. You know, I'm gonna move on and go back to it if it does break down, and I'm gonna keep tracking it because you know, crypto, just Bitcoin alone, it drags with it a lot of tickers.
yeah.
That can potentially set up, and they are big movers. So, you know, I saw when Bitcoin moved like 3% in a day, MicroStrategy was up 10% for me, you know. So there are lots of opportunities around Bitcoin for swing traders.
Yeah, and I would argue right here, it dropped down and hit the 10 and then, perfectly bounced right off of it. So that might be the new, kind of support is in this 76,000 range.
Yeah. But I have some disappointing news though, Dane.
What's up?
You know, the shoelaces, no, the socks, the MicroStrategy socks.
Yeah, I remember you saying you can't get them shipped, right?
They don't ship them to Norway, so I need to change my promise. I'm gonna buy one of those sailor T-shirts if I get a 50% return. So,
I mean, if you want, I can buy them for you and just send them to you.
yeah, if it hits 50%, I think you need to get involved here, Dane.
All right, let me know. Let me know if it hits it, and then I'll put a buy-in for some socks for you, and I'll ship them out. I don't know what it costs for me to ship a package of socks to Norway, but it can't be too bad.
But it's going to be worth it anyway, so it doesn't
Sure.
matter. Yeah.
You'll have to like pin them up in the stream, like behind your head or something, so like the entire stream we can see them up there.
Yeah. No, but I did find a pretty cool T-shirt, so I have my eyes on that now.
Oh man, yeah. Other than that,
I think if you look at copper, then just like the copper chart.
what is going
You
on
know,
with
I
my
don't
copper
mind
chart?
it.
Why does it say 0? I don't know. Something's wrong with my thing. I think in the dashboard, but either way.
Can you let me check? Yeah, well, yours looks a bit. The one I have is just
This
in
is the
copper.
spot for copper.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, I kind of like it where it is right now compared to other charts like gold and stuff. But I've also seen some of the metals like UAME. I've tried to get into UAME a few times, and it's still in a good base from what I can see.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to either try to buy it on a pullback towards, like, I have a anchored VWAP on it, so I'm going to use that probably. But also just a clear breakout from here. This is a pretty long base now.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually surprised UAME hasn't broken out from here.
yeah. And the
just
other
know
one I'm
antimony's
interested in
huge.
is HYMC. Same deal.
Yeah, no, some of the gold stuff is, but I mean, just look at gold in general. I mean, these are just following the gold trend, which, this dropped for a little bit and it has slightly pulled back. It looked like, I thought on April 17th when it had this like little gap up day, because it was going up pretty quick too, but then it pulled right back. But it looks strong to me still. I think this is, it just needs more time to digest. I think as we continue to inflate our currency, which seems to have no end, you know,
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, when Trump came in, one of the things he ran on was that he was going to, you know, work on the budget and not increase spending, which has not happened at all. No one
Yeah.
cares. No one seems to care about the inflation spending.
No.
I'm actually dumbfounded that the rest of the world has not stopped using U.S. as their currency. But I guess as long as that continues, as long as the dollar is the backbone of the world's economy, they'll continue to inflate it because we can't experience hyperinflation. But yeah, gold is just kind of holding here.
But that was a point that I saw in copper. Like you said, gold has been pulling back a little bit, and if you look at like silver and what is the other one? Platinum.
Yeah,
You know,
they're
a
all-
lot of them look really similar, but if you look at the copper one, it didn't do that. It kind of moved just straight sideways, and maybe you know, copper is now on its own. I'm just gonna
It's a minor
look at
ETF for it.
that space for a little bit. I think I have a ticker you can try, HG1
HG what?
and number 1. Oh,
Yeah, I
no,
don't
you
know if mine
have
will
it.
do that. There must be another version of it.
Yeah, let me try to find it quickly.
What's the name of it? Like, what is it?
Copper futures, just copper futures. Maybe you can use your sheet.
Yeah, but copper futures should just be the spot price.
Yeah, but yours was so. I don't see like the clear pattern in yours.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, but okay. Yeah.
It's actually really surprising how small these moves are. Like, it's jumping
that's
up
what
on
I
these
mean.
things, but then there's barely any price. I mean, if you just look at the size of the candles, you know, leading up from anywhere in here, it looks regular. And then as we
Yeah.
get into this last like month or two, it's just super small purchases.
Let me find like I have them in the groups, right? So I can find like a copper ticker to see if there's something here.
It's kind of strange.
Maybe HBM. Oh yeah, HBM. I took them, right? I got stopped, and that was I took it because of what I saw in the copper chart. But I did get stopped on it.
Gotcha. I don't think I've ever looked at this one. What's the ADR on this?
5.
Yeah, that's why it hasn't
And
made my
then-
list. It's just under my ADR.
Yeah. TGB, another one, maybe. No, TGB. Oh, sorry, B then. For
What was it?
TGB. Yeah. Same kind
Oh,
of
Seco.
chart.
Okay, I remember Seco.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they all are kind of in that same thing.
Yeah, they look very similar.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm actually kind of confused that gold has been holding where it has. I thought gold would make more of an up move, or at least I think it would. I was thinking it would get back to where it had been at highs and actually kind of move sideways there. But
Yeah. It struggles a bit. But maybe this is going to make like one of those big bases as well. It's kind of in the process of doing that.
yeah. Where's
Yeah,
NBA at these days?
Which one?
NBA.
Oh, NVA. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of in range with a lot. You know, it's still there. I mean, this is one was waiting to redomicile to the U.S., which I'm actually curious. I really want to see what it does when it redomiciles, because then there can be U.S. investment. I was curious to see if that would cause it to spike.
Yeah. I still like this chart.
Yeah, it's holding up. I mean, it looks tight now.
Yeah.
So
I don't think this is a bad looking chart at all.
it's not on my list anymore, so it must not. I don't think it has a lot of volume. I think the volume. I mean, what is average volume now? Is only 410,000 on a 20. which
I've
is
averaged all the volume 2,030,000, so it's very thin, you know.
yeah. So I think it's just kind of this one really fell out of flavor. But
One ticker that has nothing to do with gold, I don't remember. I said it to you before the stream, but I don't think I said it on the stream, Dane. But open.
oh yeah, yeah, it's
This is a
another
chart.
sideways moving chart, but holding up strong. I mean,
Yeah, and kind of reversed a little bit from 13th of April, and it's right now like close to breaking through the 200-day moving average, and then you will probably see all the moving averages, like you said, in the right order. And this is one I want to track closely this coming days. And if you go back and look at the move it had, it's a gigantic move, right? Do you remember open from last year?
I mean, I know I've been watching it for forever, but I know it's just in that general downtrend, so I kind of...
You had one of those, it was like in the meme universe, I think, because I think there was a CEO who was like very pumping it.
Something. I remember it turned around totally and then, you know, went crazy.
Yeah. So
But-
it has showed that in the past that it can move. You know. No,
I'm always, the business model to me, I've just never been sold on, but
yeah,
no pun intended.
it's
But,
it's a bit, I don't know, it lives on its own a little bit. This is probably not a strong group, right? I'm not sure.
yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything else quite like open, you know, that's definitely a unique business model. So I will give them that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at one point it looked dead.
Yeah, it looked dead, and it had almost no volume coming in at all. And it's just been drifting downwards. It's a pretty from the high to the low here. That's a 62% decline, you know. So it looks a little bit small, but it is big in percentage.
But, you know, also from the top, it got down 97% from its top. So
Yeah.
that's a pretty impressive pullback. But, I mean, you do see it with some of these. I mean, Carvana, that was one of those ones that looked like it was, you know, going for dead. And then that one murdered it. So
Look at the monthly. Was that what you did? Did you look at the monthly?
yeah, I just did.
Yeah.
What is Carvana's ticker? Why can I not remember this?
CRV, no,
CVNA, that's what it
CVNA.
is. I was just actually, I haven't looked at this chart in a minute. That's the only reason I wanted to pull it up. So I was just wondering where it's at. This one looks like it's traveling with the indexes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is another chart. If you zoom out a little bit, I mean, this is incredible. It's worth $4.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree.
10,000%.
Yeah.
Since it's 23 lows.
With some fraud allegations along the way, right?
No one cares about that. They're just allegations.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did survive. I mean, that's one thing that you can say about Carvana is it looked like it wasn't quite going to make it, and then all of a sudden, last second, they started pulling off some decent sales. So,
Yeah.
you know, sometimes it just takes like a market to kind of open up something like that. I'm just gonna go back to the dash just to see if there's anything else. You know, South Korea and Taiwan, once again, they're up, and that's because of, you know, semiconductors. And I think South Korea was doing a big AI investment. I saw Australia also was doing a big AI investment. Where's Australia in here?
Value can probably tell me if this is accurate or not. I know you're from New Zealand, Value, but I saw a video from the Minister of Finance in Australia, who claimed they had saved 114 billion. And the guy asked her, where's that money then? And she said, no, we have just spent it on other stuff. So
Well said.
they hadn't saved it at all. They had just spent it on other stuff.
Yeah, I saved all my money from last year right as I spent it on other things.
Yeah. I also saved all my money and I bought the apartment, and now I'm in debt, but I saved the money.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I'm gonna get a car. So since I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna just save that money and then I'll have it after I spend it.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, I think politicians all over the world right now, that it's very high quality.
Yeah, I feel like we've done, I just want to point this out to the entire democratic world. We've done an excellent job in electing officials, guys. Like, just every country right now is just, we're at as good as it gets,
Yeah.
No frauds going on. They're all straight shooters. They, everyone's just looking out for the small person out there. We should really pat ourselves on the back, guys. Like, every country out there right now is just killing it.
They and very high quality all over.
Yeah. There's really what could go wrong. Speaking of another name, that you want to talk about dragging indexes up.
Oh yeah, it looks
Everyone's favorite.
This is the index still, right?
What when this goes from 200 to 208? What is the gain there?
Yeah.
I don't know how many outstanding shares there are, but what's even the volume? 213 million at a 200. That's 42 billion dollars. Is that right? It's a lot of money. Not in terms of a $5 trillion market cap. It's not, but it is kind of impressive. I will say, no matter how ridiculous Nvidia gets, or the fact that its earnings per share is $5 and its PE. Don't get me wrong. I know PE of 42 sounds high, but at the same time, for a $5 trillion market cap, that's insane.
What a story.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah. And if you just any time frame you look at this chart, it looks so clean.
Yeah, it's just strong.
Yeah. I think.
Besides this pullback after COVID, that was the only time, which actually is 65% pullback, which is kind of wild. But that was the year of 2022. That was just a tough year. It's a good year to be a deep value investor. But other than that, and then AI, somewhere in there, all of a sudden we all started using ChatGPT or whatever. And this thing just became a monster. So where are we now from lows? If we had held 1,600%, it's not too shabby.
Didn't you know, Dane, you should have just gone all in back then?
I remember looking at it. I think it was at one. What's it here? Oh, it's split since. So I don't remember. Can you do this before a split? Isn't there a way to do that? No. There's a way to do it on here. I can't remember what it is. But it was like $100 or something.
Yeah.
So maybe it was around here. Maybe it was like 14 or something. Like somewhere in here, I remember thinking, NVIDIA's a great company. Me and someone who builds PCs, I just know the company. I wasn't even thinking about the AI angle, but man, I wish I would have known more, because boy, did that work out. I wouldn't have had. Who knows how big my position would have been in them anyway. So who cares? But
you would have been scared at one moment, at least, in that run-up.
Yeah, that's
take
yeah. They're right. Even if I, if I had doubled or whatever, who knows how long I would have held.
Yeah. But then if you pull up Tesla, if we look at these companies now, the big ones, right? And then you look at Tesla, it doesn't look very promising here for swing trading.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely pulled back, but it also bounced up. From these lows. A lot of these are just so heavy based on what the indexes are doing. Because I mean, also too, if you would have argued at the end of last year, I mean, it would have looked like Tesla's in full swing again, and as strong as it's ever been. So.
Oh yeah. But now, I mean, if you look at Google, if you look at Amazon, Nvidia.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does not look like how these do.
Yeah.
Which are full on recovery here.
Yeah.
What's Meta doing?
TSM, like talked.
Meta's kind of all over the place.
It's I don't know. Tesla probably, and you have the IPO coming up for SpaceX.
Apple, I know, and yeah, we got SpaceX and what's the other one that's supposed to be? Is it Anthropic? Is that what's gonna go?
Oh yeah, really?
If they can.
Okay.
I don't know, because I know they're suing him because it was a nonprofit, and that like sets a terrible precedence that you could set a nonprofit up and then later go public with it, because that means you literally can avoid all the tax issues as a company and then become a public company, which means you didn't have to pay any taxes to become a public company essentially for like your entire growth period. So yeah. I don't know if they will let that one IPO. If they do, you're going to see some shady nonprofits come out, because anybody then will realize, oh, I can just say my public company's nonprofit for the first 5 growth years and pay no taxes. And then all of a sudden, be like, nah, never mind, now we're profit. So if they pass that, I've lost all faith in any kind of, credibility with the Fed and whoever, SEC, whoever says that they stand for anything. If they allow that to go through, you guys don't care. No one cares anymore. And at that point, I'm going to put all my money into options and just go long. Just hope for the best. I'm just going to say screw it, because at that point it doesn't matter anymore. It's all fake. It's all fake money. No one cares.
It depends.
It's a personal feeling on that one, but
if you have the worldview that we are living in a simulation, nothing matters anyways, Dane.
Yeah, I mean,
it all depends on your worldview, right?
True. This could all be an illusion, guys. Nothing matters.
Whatever you want.
None of this is investment advice, as always, guys. Just always feel the need to say that at some point during our dumb rants.
You would, please. The most important part in every stream is Snoop's part.
True.
That is the most important part.
Very true. I don't know. You got anything else to cover?
No, I think I've gone through I didn't manage to do my scans before the stream, so I don't know if anything new has popped up, but I did them, from Thursday to Friday, so I'm pretty updated.
Yeah, I'll go through these slowly on the stream once, so if anyone's interested in what's on my list, you can peek through. But
yeah, I think for me, Open and UAMI will be my focus for the coming week.
Yeah, my big thing is just working on, do I want to trim this list down, quicker than the way I have set up to do it now? I really wait for something to break down before I take it off the list. But I also wonder too, like the index is coming back so strong right now. Maybe a lot of this stuff will stay on the list. It's not going to be until there's a downturn in the market. And that's where you watch stuff that, you know, doesn't hold up actually gets eliminated off my list. Like maybe this is what it should do. It should, in these up periods, kind of balloon up to, you know, 100 or so leading stocks in different sectors, and you know, or you know, just like the 5 or 6 main sectors, there's a couple stocks in each one of those that are just, you know, really outperforming. But it's the first way this is the first time since I've been doing it this way that I've kind of kept these stocks in my my list like this. So, you know, one thing that's interesting too is, you know, these things coming off the 50-day SMA. I mean, this is a pretty strong indication of how some of these stocks are doing. I always think this is an interesting category they put in here when I look back on it and you see how things have performed.
That's cool.
Yeah, it just gives you an idea of not only how strong some of these names truly are, but, you know, how extended they can get too. You can kind of use it both ways depending on what you're thinking. But
speaking of extended and all that stuff, you know, I've been speaking with you a little bit about how I've for this week, and I think also the last one, I was fully invested, you know, and I saw a few stocks that I had on my list that I know I would have been trying to take a position. I'm not saying that I wouldn't be stopped out or anything, but I would be involved in some way or another if I had the funds. But I didn't, and I saw, for example, NVTS. I was focusing on it just because if I get stopped out, I would immediately jump over to that one, and then I think it has gone up a lot since, you know. So it's just a bit annoying, but at the same time, I'm pretty happy with how I have done everything, and that I maintained my 20% positions for the time period that I did. Right. It's tricky to know when to trim and when to not, but now I have trimmed most of the positions. But like some reflections I did during that time was, if I had trimmed before, I would have had the funds to go into NVTS, for example. And there was a few others as well. But I heard Ariel Hernandez, he said, like, in one of his posts, he said, he named a bunch of tickers, and he said, like, they have earned the right to be trimmed. And I thought that was a good way of looking at it. Like, a stock needs to show you that it needs to, like, it deserves to be trimmed, and then that's when you do it. And that's just something you follow.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to end it here. I think there's just a lot moving right now, and unless there's some kind of huge change in, you know, this Iran war, whatever conflict thing you want to call it, everybody kind of just seems to be pushing forward. The rest of the world keeps moving on.
I know I said it to you, but when Trump includes the Iran war of a war that he has also finished, I need to applaud that type of thinking, I think.
Yeah, you know, fake it till you make it, right?
Yeah.
I think he's just his typical boisterous self, where he's just flaunting in, you know, Iran's face that he's essentially saying it's over with, because in his mind they can't do anything to I don't know what's the benefit of, you know, continuing this on or not. I'm not any way qualified to even comprehend that.
I saw on a more, like, this is way more serious, but I saw there was another attempt of shooting him today.
Yeah, actually, I had saw that before. I honestly kind of forgot about it for a sec. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, but that's always something that's happened. There's always someone out there who is driven to the brink and thinks that they are going to solve something by doing something like that, which, you know. But at the same time, too, we were just saying how pro we are, all our leaders and their geniusness. So, you know, go out there and, you know, maybe try and find better candidates before we get to primaries, and maybe try and get, you know, someone in that's going to do a good job for the people. That would
or,
be
or
good.
do it yourself. This stream is all about motivating people to grow, right? So find some strength within yourself and become a politician. I think that needs to be the message here.
Yeah, I mean, no, that's it's true. Everybody who's fed up with stuff, someone out there needs to run who's not a politician that actually wants to make their communities better.
I have here recently there's a 19-year-old that have earned a seat in the parliament or whatever, and when you're 19 you have all the experience in the world. So
Yeah, I was a
she
genius
now-
at 19 for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So she proposed that in Norway you should not be allowed to drive cars on Sunday in the
Smart.
cities. Yeah, so
Smart.
that's
That's the kind of out of the box thinking that we do not need to vote in. Let's not continue to put let's not go from dumb to dumbest that we can find.
I have. Oh my God! Then this is a youth party for it's kind of like a communist party. That's not the name here, but they are like the red company. The youth leader, she wanted to get rid of the real estate market.
Smart.
Yeah, and because she didn't have really like a good argue points
don't need
about
one.
it. But so the girl asked her, how are you gonna buy apartments then? Nah, she should give it to the state, she meant. And then the next question was like, yeah, but are you not against the state as well, getting more power? Yeah. So maybe that's not. She didn't have a clue. She didn't have one. She didn't have any solution or anything. Just wants to say something to provoke.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's growing well in the candidates as well. These are all young people, and I think the future looks bright.
My only guess is that Russia or someone is hardcore funding these just moronic communist type parties. Yeah. And I'm not totally against some social structures in the States. We all say we never want any kind of socialism, but that's what our fire department is everywhere. There is benefits to having some of these socialistic ideas. We can all agree on certain parts of it, but just in general, I would just go to that person and hand them a textbook that's something about the history of the Soviet Union and just be just read this before you do anything and say any more. Read this, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Those types of people, they don't want to listen, right?
Well, they're good at speaking, obviously.
Yeah, they could. Or are they? She was in a debate and had no backup for what she was saying. So
you don't need to know anything. Just go out there and smile and say what people want to say here.
And no cars on Sunday, so it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Well, the good news is you guys aren't going to be able to drive, and you won't have anywhere to live.
Yeah, that's very true. And that also, not only that, it's a lot here at the end, but the same party that asked to not drive cars on Sunday, they also want you to have only 3 airplane rides in a year. So you can go to a country, you can come back, and then you can go to a country. That's it.
You have to walk back that last one.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't have to drive back on a Sunday.
Yeah, no, that would be crisis.
That would be really inconvenient for you.
Yeah.
I mean, so, I guess you could drive back, and then once you get to Norway, you just have to walk that last bit to your house.
Yeah. So no, it's people should move here. The future looks bright.
Yeah, well, that's how we're gonna end it. All right, guys. Yeah. Well, good luck next week. Good luck to everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right, guys.